quarter-final number 3. We already know our first semi-final. It'll be Shane Thompson against Ian Alley, both of them coming through in very, very different matches already today. Ian Alley came through a barn burner of a match against Tom Cousins. It finished 8-7 with a little bit of a buzzer beater in the end from Ian. Sensational match. And, well, complete opposite from Shane Thompson, who scoreline-wise was untroubled, an 8-1 victory over his good mate Carl Sutton. Craig Waddingham's break is off here in quarter-final number 3. He just mishit that break. It almost looked like he caught the cue on the table. I'm not too sure. I have to see that again, but he certainly misstruck the cue ball and goes straight in off into the side pocket, which you don't see him do too often. But somehow he still managed to absolutely sledge the break to the point where Aaron will be absolutely delighted to get these as a starter. It's Mark Shepherd alongside me on this one, and Mark, as always, it's lovely to have your company with us, but you couldn't ask for a better starter if you're Aaron Davies right now, could you?
No, this is like a dream, isn't it? Craig Waddingham's looked in really good touch all weekend. Aaron knows he's in for a tough match here. Yeah, very odd break, wasn't it? Just something kind of different from what we normally see. Something seemed to go wrong, but splitting the balls up well enough. Seen some standard of pool already today. A match where you thought Tom Cousins was going to run away with it the way he has. Won something like 16 out of 17 of his first frames this weekend, and then Ian Alley suddenly really turned it on when it mattered.
Yeah, those 2 frames at the back end of the match, the tactical exchange which Ian won, and then the clearance he took out in the decider was magnificent. Proper Ian Alley clearance, that just bottle personified.
He's just that sort of player, isn't he? Plays for serious money. It's all about the bottle with him, and not fazed by anybody. A different match here.
Oh, Aaron. Has he got away with it? I think he has. Yeah, that hand tells us all you need to know. Yeah, that tells us all we need to know. That is a brilliant reaction from Craig Waddingham, that. Snarl from the silver sniper.
There's no way when that cue ball drifted over to that side of the table that he thought he was going to be on it, but hasn't taken advantage.
That just strikes me as a little bit edgy from Aaron, because I'd have to see the run through again. It looked like he was in pretty good control. It looked like he didn't really need to play that shot where he's heading towards the right centre in that yellow. Obviously got away with it, but usually I think if you're feeling really comfortable, you almost see that as a let-off and it refocuses you. But obviously, yeah, still first frame, still a few nerves out there maybe for Aaron. First time in this arena. Saw Craig twice yesterday. And you do get the sense that the start is big in this match as well. For Aaron particularly, because Craig is such a... You know, he's that power pool player, isn't he? He can really front run in an intimidating manner. Aaron is capable of producing the same levels of performance, but he doesn't quite have that same aura, I would say, which is an intangible thing. But Craig Waddingham's definitely got it.
Yeah, I mean, Craig's just ridiculous, isn't he? He just strolls around the table, looks so easy. You just can't ever really see where the mistakes are coming from. Even when he slips out of position, it's just so effortless getting back in. And in the last season or two, or particularly towards the end of last season, just getting better and better. Won 2 out of the last 4 Pro Series events. I wouldn't exactly say he'd been on a title drought before then, but it sort of felt like he was looking for his first Pro Series. Then once one came along, the second one was straight after.
Yeah, and we've seen plenty of purple patches over the years with Ultimate Pool. Wins tend to follow the other. Craig throwing the cue ball around, just finished a little high on that yellow, the last shot, but in goes the 8 ball, 1-0. And I mean this in a nice way because I like Craig a lot, but he really can be, and it's an asset for him. He's a player who can really bully his opponents when he's flying around. This is the shot from Aaron. I just think he's tried to be a little cute, because for me, I don't know, maybe tough to say, probably unfair not giving Aaron right of reply, but for me, you could You could almost leave the cue ball where the red was. You've got a longish red, but it's a comfortable one that connects to the 8 ball nicely. Did he need to be sort of playing really cute on that shot? I'm not sure.
Instinctively, when he got down to play that shot, you felt like he'd just drift off the 2 yellows, and the cue ball was naturally going to come. It was going to be a long shot, but it was going to come somewhere back towards the middle of the table.
Yeah, which is, Aaron's world-class play. He's never going to miss that. Yeah, just a little bit of a strange one from Aaron, but as I say, maybe a couple of nerves out there for the cyborg. He is, after all, not a cyborg. He is only human. Cyborg in name only.
I think you're right, though, about Craig's presence. I mean, he's a lovely guy off the table, and it's not like he's a bullying persona, but it's just something about the way that he plays. It just never feel like he's going to give you much of a chance.
Yeah, but he's not that guy on the table, is he? He's very affable and perfectly pleasant to be around off the table. But he does have a mode that he flicks into when he's out there in the arena, and it is much more machine-like. A real ruthless streak.
It's going to be annoying for Aaron, because that was such a gilt-edged opportunity to get given that off Craig's break. Was more than he could have dreamt for in the first frame.
This isn't bad though in frame 2. Usually the players often talk about it. The pool gods don't tend to reward you with another chance after you've made such a big error, but this is lovely really for Aaron Davies. He just needs to be controlled, and he's got all the room in the world to be that. Played brilliantly in his last 16 match last night against Zach Shepherd. Wasn't a game that I saw personally, but I think were you on that one, Mark, with Simon Webb? And I think both of you were waxing lyrical about how well both players played, but particularly Aaron, who obviously won through.
Yeah, it was a kind of typical Aaron performance, just very solid. Looked like the likely winner through most of the match, just did what he needed to. But I think that shows the difference in confidence. Playing someone like Zach Shepherd, who's a very good player but doesn't have quite the same resume that Craig does, Aaron goes into that a pretty strong favourite, and he played accordingly. Be interesting to see if he can keep that going. He's generally got a pretty good record against other top players. I don't think he's going to be fazed by Craig at all, but it's obviously hard when you know that your opponent's a player of this quality. Unusual, calling for a rest. It's not something you see very often on the pool table.
Yeah, lesser spotted, but he's I think he's pretty handy with the rest, Aaron. He's a pretty decent snooker player, not probably quite as good as his younger brother Ryan, but he's okay. He gets the job done.
Yeah, to be as good a player as Aaron Davies and not be the best in your house at any game must be bizarre. I mean, both he and his brother are both excellent snooker players. It's very close between them.
Despite the fact, this is a great angle to see it, that massive throw where he's almost cueing off to the side of his head, let alone the one-eye dominant. Real extreme cue action for Aaron, but it certainly works for him. You'd never change it. Lots of really good ball. His patterns are great, and when Aaron Davies is playing well, he's a threat for any tournament. I think it's just starting to threaten to get to the stage, and Craig Waddingham will know this, but it's more about just mentally, does he believe that he can win? As we take a look here at the tables around the grounds here at the Ultimate Pool Series. Gavin Simpson-Allen at the table against Adam Jenkins in the Challenger Series.
Big moment for these two players. This is Challenger Tier 3. These are players that won't have as much big match experience out in the arena. Chance to play out on the stream table. The stream's going out live on YouTube, so friends and family of these two players can watch their guys do the job.
Yeah, and if you are watching that and thinking, I actually really want to get behind one of them, it's available for you now on the Ultimate Pool YouTube channel. Nick Finn and Alex Bailey, your company for that one. The semi-final lineup in Tier 1 is interesting, by the way. I'm not sure how much you've discussed this already, Mark, but really, really good lineup in Event 1 of the Challenger Series. The semi-finals are set. Jack Schofield against James Nesbitt, Niall Sweeney versus Gary Carr. Very, very nice lineup. 4 different nationalities as well, at least in certainly international pool terms. James Nesbitt for Northern Ireland, Jack Schofield, England, Niall Sweeney, Ireland, Gary Carr, of course, Malta. Got a deciding frame win over Ben Flack earlier, did Gary.
Yeah, we enjoyed watching Gary, didn't we, back at the World Championships and the World Team Shootout. Very entertaining, that Maltese team.
Craig has played that really well, by the way. He's used every single millimetre of that pocket to manipulate that angle on the cannon. Craig is such a brilliant potter that if he had to pot that heart of the pocket, it would never be a problem for him. But there was some benefit in playing it the way he did, and he played it beautifully.
Nice to see some of the other events getting some airtime as well, because although we're focusing on the main Pro Series for a lot of the coverage, and rightly so given the quality of some of the personnel on display, 700 players around the venue across Challenger, Women's Pro and Challenger, and Next Generation Series. We've got the Disability Series underway. We'll see some action from that later on. It's a real buzz around the venue. I mean, this is going to be the day, isn't it? Yesterday was pretty busy of people turning up, but today everyone's in action in one or more of those events. Should be a great crowd in for the finals of everything tonight.
Greg just ran aground there. He's okay in terms of shot clock. Just ran out of position. He's played a very, very good safety. Not got Aaron anything to go at. But Aaron will just be pleased to be at the table, because usually if Craig's one at the table, you just sort of autopilot while he'll clear up. So anytime Aaron can get a shot in a frame where Craig had first opportunity, he'll be grateful for. And he's a player who doesn't mind to dig in. A player, I often think you've got to scrape off the table.
He's a very deceptive player. He's very tenacious and very good at that side of the game, but he's also a very attacking player. Often you don't realise quite so how attacking he is, because he's got a kind of methodical style, but he likes to go after a shot, as we see there.
Yeah, about as tough a pot as you can get on these size tables. Right off the top rail, gun barrel straight. As I say, you need to pot a ball, and Craig Waddingham's your man.
I think if you had a single ball potting competition and you asked most of the pros who they want to be down on the shot, Craig Waddingham's going to be right up there. Almost more so than the likes of Tom Cousins, who are known for their potting, but Tom's got so good of late with his patterns that he never seems to be out of position, whereas Craig has a more relaxed style. Sometimes will just leave himself at a bit of distance.
Well, has he snooked himself on this red? Has he rested on this yellow? I think he has. He's having to turn this. This is tough. He's played that well.
Yeah, it was actually quite difficult, because resting on the ball like that, he had to get the turn to take effect quickly. This is what he does, though. Just mops up.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know if you heard Tom Cousins' interview yesterday where he talked about his potting. Because he actually said he was an infinitely better potter 10 years ago than he is now. He says his potting has actually gone down quite a few levels, he feels like. Because obviously, but his wisdom, his experience, his patterns, all the rest of it, that's obviously improved at this game. But he says, years ago I could just rely on my potting. I knew I couldn't miss a ball. And he was saying in the run-up to this event, he's obviously been playing a lot of 8-ball, but he was playing a little bit of snooker as well, just to sort of get his eye in and keep his potting sharp. And yeah, it certainly didn't let him down in the other semi-finals. We'll take a look at the buzzer in action. Brian Halcrow. This is in event 2 for the Ultimate Pool Pro Series. Having a little chat with Buzzer earlier. He was in good form, as he almost always is. At least off the table. On form, it's been a little bit tougher for him. Callum Singleton is 5-1 down to Brian Halcrow. I tell you what, major shock incoming. Tom Cousins is 5-7 down to Vivek Mack, which would be comfortably Vivek's best result in the Pro Series.
And with no offence to Vivek, probably comfortably Tom's worst in quite some time. Coming back to what you were saying about Tom, I think I'd have maybe framed it the other way around, and not so much saying his potting had got worse, but his position has got so much better. I watched a lot of him 10 years or so ago when he was winning those 2 world titles in 2012 and 13. Back then it was all about the potting, and he cared less about the position. what he's added to his game since is an incredible accuracy. The patterns have just got better and better, and his touch around the table. Standard generally, though, has improved from all the players. Craig Waddingham was a player that was at his best also in that era, but still 15 or so years on is absolutely top of his game. Aaron Davies a bit younger, but has been around for what feels like a long time. He's been here from the start in Ultimate Pool, and right from the start he's been a kind of top 16 player. Always been just hanging around that sort of 15, 16, 17 ranking spot.
Well, I was sort of alluding to at the end of the last frame where he's almost got to the stage now, not probably quite at the same level of expectation maybe, but similar-ish to where Craig Waddingham was before he won his first Pro Series event. Craig had obviously won the Champions League. He'd won an event, but I knew he really wanted to take down a series, whereas Aaron has had a couple of close knockings. He's been around a long time. He's been to a lot of semi-finals. He's been to a few finals as well, and you don't feel like it's a million miles away from him, especially not with shots like that. It's lovely. Where, I think that's why I talk about the mentality is you've got to be so strong mentally to believe you're ready to take that chance when it comes.
He does always seem to have quite a robust mindset as well. He always approaches the game in the right way. Doesn't seem to dwell too much on things that have gone badly. He's one of those players that if you told a player that hadn't watched the series that he just won the last Pro Series event, everybody would nod their heads and go, yeah, good on him, that's about time. But also he's not one of the ones that he's not top of your list when you're talking about the likely winners, just kind of slips under the radar. He's in good shape here though, down to the last 8 of this event.
So Aaron Davies ties things back up 2-2. Can tell you as well, Tom Cousins has won the next frame against Vivek Mak. That's now 7-6 to Vivek. Ian Ali already through into the last 32 of event 2. He's rolled straight off from giving Tom the exit in event 1 and beating Hitton Patel 8-5. Short weekend for Hitton. Stevie Dempsey through against Sean Ash 8-3. Darryl Whitworth with a big win over Rob Warren 8-6. Chris Day and Ricky Jones are pretty tight. They're 4-3. Matt Cook and John Rowe locked at 4 apiece. This is the Ricky Jones match that I just mentioned. Chris Day 4-3 up on Notorious right now. It looks like the Barnsleyman is ready to square that up at 4 each. Ryan Halcrow won that frame use at the table we saw a moment ago. It's 5-2 against Callum Singleton now. A bit more like it on the break from Craig. But he's going to be dry. That's tough. It's a lovely, lovely split as well. Little bit of work, minds. It all feels very open, but actually there is a little bit of work on both colour sets, and that, in a weird way, when it's as open as this, almost makes that little bit margin more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those ones. Do you want to be in first? I mean, you obviously do against a player like Craig, 'cause you don't want him in first. But you know that if you do make a mistake, you're going to be leaving it. Uncharacteristic from Craig, a couple of breaks that hadn't quite come off. That first one left it seemed like it was going to be an easy chance. This one a slightly more difficult one.
Well, the yellow going to top right makes his decision very, very easy as to what suit to take. His big problem is at the bottom right of the table. The yellow closest to the bottom right corner pocket is an issue for him. I mean, how brave do you want to be? Because there's a yellow above it that there is probably a yellow off yellow situation, but that's a rather you than me situation, isn't it?
Well, it's a horrible angle as well, because if he has to play it from here, you'd be cutting it back. I don't think you would play that shot from this position. I think you'll have to come a different way.
Well, I think it goes. I think he's on that. So I think yellows are actually much better than we thought, and Aaron's just missed one, which is a big miss. Craig's come in at a tougher table though on reds. And yeah, the way Aaron's played that and looking at the overhead, that yellow almost certainly goes bottom right. And that's actually
And even if it was tight to pot directly, the fact there's now a ball there means that if he does get another chance, it'll be playable as a plant. Craig's only got one really bad problem, but it's a really bad problem because it's very difficult to get at that red that's now at the bottom of the table. It's also got a slight issue with the one just to the left of where the cue ball is now, but it's a bit easier to deal with that one.
Is he trying to pop this or trying to loss a turn? Yeah, loss a turn. Not the world's best cue ball, but I think it's okay enough. He can't see the bottom right. Craig has just tried to hang around long enough to be able to have a look.
Well, can he though? Aaron's coming around to have a hard look at this. It's obviously tight.
The only issue with Craig going the way that he went there is he just used a couple of reds to make that safety. Let's keep as many on the table as possible if you're going to pull back. Yeah, Aaron was fine. That's okay. Oh, he's been unlucky. He's been really unlucky. Is he on the yellow to the bottom?
That's a tough break from that position. You thought you couldn't fail to be on something.
Yeah, it's the only position on the table he's got no shot. And I really do think he's got no shot, which is so tough. Or is he doing a Phil Harrison on us? Well, he looks like he's trying to strike the middle of the cue ball, so I think he's doing it. No, he did have to turn it. And it's not ideal, but I think you sort of take it really from where he was.
You do, although it's such a pain having to play it like that because you had to turn it slightly. The cue ball ended up going the opposite way from where you'd choose. If he'd have been able to get to the bottom of the cue ball, he'd have screwed back to the right hand side of the table. So he's going to have to pull another big shot out. All the while knowing that these reds are pretty perfect. There's his luck. Better this time. It's a moment where it looked like that cue ball was tracking towards the yellow, but that's turned out well. The 8 ball doesn't go to its most obvious pocket, but it does go to bottom right and left middle, so should be absolutely fine. Wondered if he could dig into that enough to come down towards the middle of the table, but felt that it was a bit thin, so left himself with the longest pot yet of the clearance. Big shot now. This is basically for the frame, this last yellow. Heart of the pocket.
A tester, but he's okay.
This has been a big finish in the end. It's made it harder than he felt it needed to be, just because of where he ended up after he potted the first ball. He's so good at this though, he just digs it out.
Yep.
Just keeps going when others maybe would have felt they had to quit at some point. Hasn't had the hardest route through to this match so far. Josh Dew has 8-2 in the first round, fairly comfortable win there. Pushed a bit more against one of the new pros, Luke McAvoy, 8-6 in the last 32. And then tough match, but ultimately a comfortable result, 8-4 against Zach Shepherd last night. He's had the morning off. This has been his first match so far today. Nice format that. You get down to the quarterfinals on the Friday. You feel it's almost like finals day when you come back on the Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, Shane Thompson's already back on, and I think it's safe to say having a little bit of a hangover. He's 3-0 down early on to Josh Dew has. So difficult, and Shane knows better than most, to go back to back in these events. He's just had a super performance. He can definitely be forgiven for not quite having his whole heart in that match. Got a big semi-final coming up against Ian Alley later on. Where's that 8 ball going? Oh, a slightly messier layout than we've been used to, but you're going Reds. Carl Sutton's week. Sorry, just to cut you off there, Mark. Just Carl Sutton's weekend could be taking quite a dramatic turn for the worse, having been dusted by his good mate, the Safe Cracker. He's 2-0 down already to Eddie Barker in event 2.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it ends up being a bit of a mixed blessing. Sometimes when you start that second tournament, it's a good thing because you have maybe an easier match than you're going to have later on in the main draw, and then you build your confidence. But if you do go and lose a match you're not expecting to, it can be hard to get yourself back up for it. I think you've really just got to see it as a bonus though, haven't you? You're thinking about trying to get the semi-final one in event 1, and if you also have a run in event 2, so much the better. I certainly feel like in the last few events, and we've had a few people that have done well in 2 events, but more often than not it feels like when we've come to the second quarter-final lineup, we've been reviewing a completely different set of players from the ones we were talking about the previous day.
Speaking of which, Tom Cousins 7, Vivek Mack 7, Hill, Fun and Games. I'm not 100% sure Aaron wanted to pot that. May have done, but it's not come out nice if he did.
No, I mean he can play a tighter safety, but probably would have quite liked the ball there. It's just such a big moment for both those two, isn't it? For Vivek, it's going to be his biggest win on Ultimate Pool. Can't help but feel the pressure in a deciding frame. And for Tom, it's so defining of the weekend, because suddenly from having a great run in the first event, he could be out of 2 events back to back, and then Saturday lunchtime he's probably considering going home already. The weekend would be cut dramatically short. For a lot of the players that don't have so many deep runs, they treat the weekend as more of a social event, and they're sort of expecting to stay for the duration. The likes of Tom Cousins, you're normally playing all the time, so maybe when that's over you consider your job's done. So negotiated the first reds well. It's going to be all about how he springs out the ones surrounding the 8 ball on the top cushion.
Well, if he makes the one to right centre, he's got a nice angle to play the one top right, but I think he wants to keep that as an insurance ball, which I think's wise. Yeah, the plant was tough. Element of safety because he knows the 8 ball's horrible for Craig, but similar to what we said earlier on in the match, on the flip side, Craig will just be pleased to be at the table. He'll view this as a bit of a freebie.
Yeah, he will, because he's going to path through to all of the yellows. If he could take these balls out in such a way that he left one of the balls over left or right centre, he'll have a decent shout of getting up to that 8 ball. So Aaron won't be sitting that comfortably in his chair, even though it looks a messy layout at the moment. Aaron obviously felt that that plant was makeable, because if it wasn't, he could easily have taken the ball to the centre first and then broken out the balls that were at the top. Not perfect that for Craig. Would like to have had just a slight angle on this ball. He's going to have to force it if he wants to get the cue ball out. Didn't want to take any liberties there. Knew that he had the saver ball. So it looks like he's actually going to go the positive option and play yellow off red. This is a massive shot.
8 ball is going to stay up.
Even for a cueist as good as Craig, that was a tough shot. That red was a fair way in front of the pocket. It wasn't like it was making a big pocket. He had to catch it pretty thin, but at the same time quite firmly in order to move the red far enough. Slightly surprised he went that way. It did feel like he had a route to all of the yellows, and then could have had a free-ish shot at trying to disturb the 8 ball off his last yellow.
Oh, Aaron. All of a sudden, is Craig Waddingham the favourite to win this frame? I think he might be.
Yeah, that's not turned out well at all, and safety options so limited here, because 3 yellows right in the middle of the table. I mean, hard even to see a miracle shot here. Try and get these 2 reds travelling, but very likely to make them. So he's going to play just to make life a bit tricky for Craig. Craig's such a good cueist though. Worse than that from Aaron's point of view. Where those reds are, even if Craig misses, he's not really going to get left a decent shot at them. Well, a frame that could have gone either way. It's just slipped away from Aaron at the last couple of shots.
Yeah, you say either way, but at one stage, when Aaron was at the table, you think, well, there's no way in hell that Craig Waddingham can win this frame. With where that 8 ball was on yellows and with Aaron at the table, you know, it's a tricky finish, but it was a finish that you fancied him for. You thought there was no chance that we'd get to this stage.
Well, especially after Craig missed that ball earlier on. This is his second attempt at the clearance, let's not forget.
3-all as we continue to show you the action around the pro room here at the Ultimate Pool Series. This is Gavin McArdle against Jason Crozier in the Challenger Series Tier 2 semi-final. And in goes the 8 ball for Hot Rod, and I must confess, there's 700 players here. I'm not sure if that's Gavin or Jason, but as soon as the live scoring updates, I'll be able to tell you as we check in on the Tier 1 semi-final. This is Tier 3, isn't it? My apologies. With these pair, Gavin Simpsonell and Adam Jenkins. It was 4-3 to Simpsonell, and it's now 5-4 to Adam Jenkins. And these two have been slugging away at this semi-final for a little while.
Big moment for these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact it's called Tier 3 shouldn't fool you into thinking they're not good players. And there's been some attempt to seed the players into the 3 different tiers, but anybody that's getting to this stage knows what they're doing.
Yeah, but also on the same coin, but on the slightly different side of it, with it being Tier 3, it's massive for them, because what an opportunity to progress up the ranks and all the rest. It probably be the biggest title they could potentially go and win. A lot on it. I can tell you, by the way, it's Jason Crozier at the table there, old Hot Rod. So he's gone 3-2 against Gavin McArdle. And keep you abreast of that one as we progress through this game between Craig and Aaron on the main table here on Ultimate Pool TV. It's 3-3 between these two right now. Craig is on reds, and it looks like he's going to go for them. This shot here is absolutely massive, and he's playing it almost relaxed, straight on it. Well, there's your answer. He wasn't playing it. That's a very, very good shot.
That's why he was
So attacking.
relaxed.
I thought he was going to play that in a potting sense, but yeah, that was why he was so relaxed.
Yeah, I agree. He did have an angle, obviously, because that's where he's got the cue ball, but you can see why he's played it like that. Coming into those balls from behind, you had a chance of getting them both out, but it could have gone wrong. Although, I mean, I suppose the counterpoint to that is if you look at where the reds are, he's still going to have the problem of those. Even say Aaron was to miss, which is unlikely from here, but if Craig got ball in hand, he's not actually going to have a better angle into those reds. So he has got ball in hand because no ball has found a cushion after contact. Is Craig actually going to have a better angle into that cluster than he had when he played the safety shot? He's also now got the ball tied up at the top, so he's going to have to go for another developing shot.
Mark, I have an update for you. We have a winner in the Hill-Hill match between Tom Cousins and Vivek Mack, and it is a massive result for Vivek Mack. 8-7. Top Cat is out. Having just been beaten in the quarter-final by Ian Alley, his next match about half an hour later began against Vivek Mack, and Vivek has dumped him out in round number 1. That is a result that will send some shockwaves around the Pro Series arena. But what a result, I must say, for Vivek. Really, really pleased for him. It's the sort of result that can really not just turn an event around, but turn a year around. That must give him so much confidence, especially almost as he was 7-4 up, so he's obviously playing great. But then Cousins bites back, wins 3 in a row, and then you still manage to get over the line. What a result for him.
Yeah, and that's going to be a popular result for him. Nothing to do with the Tom Cousins element of it, but Vivek's a guy that's always so enthusiastic. I remember when he first played in an Ultimate Pool event, he played in the Amateur Championships about 3 years ago. And he was immediately one of the most enthusiastic players. He was coming up talking to us at the beginning of the day, and you could see he was happy to be there. Obviously his career's gone from strength to strength since then, got his pro status, and he's had some results along the way, but that's going to be by far the biggest one.
All right, then, we're going to get nitty-gritty on this frame. We are going to get nitty-gritty. It's the sort of frame you'd ordinarily fancy a player like Aaron in. I think he's trying to bait Craig. I really think he's trying to bait him. And Craig, being the animal he is, it's a little bit like chucking a hunk of meat out into the ocean when there's great white sharks swimming around. Careful what you wish for. Aaron. We're okay, Scott. Thanks for checking in on us. One and only Scott Ryan popping into the production room just to make sure that everything's ship-shape and to give a pep talk to the team here in Wigan. But Aaron Davies here, continuing to battle against Craig Waddingham. And that's a very good shot if it's got the pace. Yeah, that's excellent. I say that, it looks from the main camera that he might have left the plant loss a turn. And if he has, it's actually an annoyingly bad shot. Oh, it was close.
Funny, isn't it? Because if you lose a better plant, it's a worse shot. The fact that it ended up just on the jaw, it was just enough to mean it wasn't quite a plant. And that's totally changed it, because Aaron's very happy to see that yellow staying there. What he does know, though, is that if he lets Craig back to the table, he's going to try and play the loss of turn again. So he wants to make sure that he deals with the situation. All the balls have a pocket now, apart from the 8 ball, so a chance to go attacking.
Yeah, that's not done as much as he thought, or he certainly wanted. Even if the 8 ball falls to the side rail, he's got a couple of lovely connectors. But it's still quite guarded. He can bump into it again here. It looks like it's going towards the red. And he turns it down, so wonder if that means he's settling for a double, or whether he feels he can get to the potting angle maybe off the yellow to left centre.
Yeah, I think he'd like to leave that yellow to left centre. It gives quite a variety of options. If he takes these 2 balls, then goes up for the one in the bulk area, depending on the angle he leaves, he can either use that yellow to come down. Well, in fact,
oh, where's that 8 ball? Oh, it's okay.
Well, it's turned out remarkably well, because he's almost potted the 8 ball and he's landed nicely on a choice of 2 yellows at the top of the table. Adjusted to like a bit, but it made sense to play the positive shot if he was going to play that disturb while he still had a choice of balls. I was thinking he might have tied it up the others and played it off the last ball, but the problem of doing that is that if you don't get it right, you have no more chances. This way, he's given himself every chance. The balls haven't entirely cooperated for either player, but there's been a good standard of play Some finishes have been taken out nonetheless. A lot of time used up though. Only 17 minutes remaining on the match clock, and we're not even halfway through the match yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that match clock is going to come into it almost certainly.
If not as to the result, it's certainly going to get down into the 15-second shot clock portion of the match. Aaron's got a lot better at dealing with that. He's not naturally the quickest player, but he's very nonplussed by it. We've seen him already in this match play a couple of shots on 1 or 2 seconds where he just doesn't look at all stressed as the cue ball finds the corner pocket.
Wow. He knew straight away.
That's an amazing misjudgment for a professional.
Because he's just played that natural.
Just played it plain ball into the centre of the corner. I mean, what's happened is that he's obviously hit it thicker or thinner. He was thinking that the natural angle was well away from that. That's why he's played it like that.
Oh, that's such a big moment. He's pretty good, Aaron, at not showing his emotion out there. He's one of the best at it, really. But, as I say, he's a human, not a cyborg. And he will be rolling inside with that. As we take a look at Callum Singleton and Brian Halcrow. It's Singu at the table. And I don't think he'll be too far away from victory here. It was 5-2 up when we last saw it. It's currently 6-3. So this to go on the hill for Singu. Had a great run at the British Open, beaten in the final by Cole Bedford. Certainly a player who is eagerly awaiting his turn as the next cab on the rank.
Yeah, very much in the category you wouldn't be surprised if he won a tournament sooner rather than later.
Oh, fun and games coming up. This isn't what you want to see after the frame Aaron's just had.
Bad moment for it to happen. I mean, at least the scoreline's close, but it was a chance for Aaron to get ahead in the match. I think you'd probably have said if he was 4-3 up, the game would have been quite even. Probably would have said Craig is maybe a ball or two ahead in terms of the head-to-head between them. Would have been a slight favourite, so that would probably have levelled it. Now Craig with that slight edge in the match.
Just to run you through some results from around the Pro Series in Event 2, last 64, it's the first round. If you missed it earlier, Vivek Mak has knocked out Tom Cousins 8-7. Ryan Bassani through against Josh Kane 8-4. Ricky Jones has beat Chris Day 8-4. Ian Ali through against Hitan Patel 8-5. Darryl Whitworth knocks out the whacker Rob Warren 8-6. Stevie Dempsey knocked out Sean Ash 8-3. All the rest of the scores at the minute are just live scores. John McAllister started well against Andrew Patchett. Rob Chambers likewise against Christy Caulfield. Cole Bedford is 5-0 up on Joe Prince. Matt Cook 6-5 up on John Rowe. And Dave McQuillan, little story developing there, 6-3 up against Sean Story. Big shot here for Aaron. Well, I think you take it, but it's not exactly pleasant, is it?
He just desperately wants this frame. If he can get it to 4-all, he's going to feel happy enough with the way this has gone. If he wants to slip 5-3 behind, it's not going to be in a happy place. So he's got a route here. He can play the ball top right, yellow in the middle of the table next, then come down, leave an angle on the ball to the bottom right. He's just going to have one shot to get over and get that 8-ball sorted out.
Now, do you leave this as a double? Or for your guaranteed money? Or do you roll the dice? He's not exactly playing with house money at the moment, Aaron Davies.
Yeah, I think I prefer prefer the cannon, but it's one of those ones, if it goes wrong, you're like, why didn't I leave the double?
You'll take that. Always a little risk when you leave your 8-ball cannon as your last possible ball. It's everything in one basket, but it's come up nice for the Cyborg.
From a neutral perspective, we'll really have a match on if you can get this in. 4-all, both players playing well. Doesn't look like this goes top right, so he's having to play the more difficult way. He's had to go for the thin cut.
Wow.
That was wafer thin.
Oh, Craig Waddingham smells blood now. Great chance to almost break the back of the match at this stage, which won't look like that on the scoreline, but you get a feel for those things, don't you, when you watch matches like this. And 5-3, Craig will feel like he's got Aaron by the throat, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just the way this has happened the last couple of frames. That ball just falls in a slightly different place for Aaron. It's easier. He was just caught between... The ideal pocket wasn't available. He was caught between two less than ideal choices, left centre or left corner, and ultimately came up short. Yeah, Craig's going to be really happy with this, even though the match hasn't gone all his way by any means. I mean, he could have been 5-3 down. If he gets 5-3 up, he'll feel like he's won the lottery the way the last couple of frames have gone. I mean, even that shot was far more difficult than it looked. To check it up enough off the side cushion to miss that red that he's playing next. Judged that really well.
He's got all the tools, Craig Waddingham, and he was last season an unbelievably dangerous and confident player, and this season even more so. Full-time player now, so he's practiced and prepared ahead of every event. He knows he's turning up sharp as opposed to hoping he does. I think he may well be an altogether more a different proposition this season. And right now he's just edging his way towards a semi-final in event 1. 5-3 in front. Aaron Davies has what feels like quite a big hill to climb.
He's had to do it the hard way as well to get to this point. He's beaten some big name pros, taken to a deciding frame by Jimmy Croxton in his very first match yesterday. Then Neil Raybone 8-2, that's a quality player there. And then Josh Kane, former world finalist, 8-5 in the last 16.
That's Luke Gilbert, old Lightning himself. He's in action in the pro room right now. He's up against Dave Fernandez. This is for 1-0 for Lightning Luke. And this is an 8-ball that needs making. How's your queuing? No, looks absolutely disgusted with that, does Luke? Dave's a pretty chirpy guy. And he's feeding back with Luke.
Yeah, it wasn't just the fact he missed it, it was by so far by his standards, but a difficult shot, obviously. Looks like that match is being played in a good spirit. This is being played in a positive spirit, but certainly no small talk between the players in between those last two frames.
No, definitely game face for both, isn't it? That's a great break from Craig, but again, it's dry. You can't believe it. It sort of helped. Sorry, it sort of hindered Craig in this match quite a lot. The breaks. He feels like he's not really had many starters where he can dictate terms. A lot of Craig's frames have actually come with multiple visit frames, which isn't really his MO. He wants to break the balls, get them open, get them potted, get back in his chair, find a rhythm. It's not really been that sort of match. He's had to hang tough a little bit and wait for opportunities, and it's different style of game that he'd ordinarily like. Ultimately, it's all about the scoreboard for him.
This has to be quite an ominous sign for the rest of the players, because he's had precious few first visit chances, as you say, and is still 5-3 up in the match. Imagine if he'd been potting off his own break, how one-sided the scoreline could have been. But all of that said, Aaron Davies actually still in with a chance. He's had chances that have slipped away both of the last 2 frames. Sometimes when that happens, you just get frozen out of a match. But if he could find a way here, and it's not a bad clearance opportunity by any means, he would only be a single frame behind. As we tick into the last 10 minutes of the match, going to be playing the remainder with that 15-second shot clock. Going to be hearing those pips a lot as the time marches down. Match time is certainly going to be a factor in terms of the overall scoreline, but it's not going to affect Aaron's ability to get back into the game. He's got plenty of time to win at least a couple of frames. This is typically where Aaron's pretty good. As you say, he's one of the best in the game at seemingly putting things out of his mind. I mean, I don't know if anybody totally puts things out of their minds. I'm sure when he was sitting in his chair, he was dwelling on those frames. What he's done well is not let that affect the next frame.
Yeah, it's a big finish this for Aaron. Obviously scoreboard, it takes him back within 1, but more mentally just gets him reset, back in the game. Everything that's happened prior it's helped towards the exit door at the back of the mind for the Cyborg. Back within 1 as the quarterfinals continue. Elsewhere, we're going to travel around the grounds. Let's take a look at what's live on YouTube at the moment. Referee Darryl Whitworth is hoovering up, which says to me, I wonder if that match is over. Adam Jenkins 6, Gavin Simpson Allen 5, and I do just need to check my notes, because if the challengers are still a race to 6, then Adam Jenkins is into the final of Challenger Series Tier 3. And they are races to 6 yet, so a big congratulations. That's a massive victory. Well played to Gavin Simpson Allen with the win. My apologies, Adam Jenkins with the win, 6-5. Easy for you to remember. But yeah, Adam Jenkins with the win, 6-5 in the Hill decider. He awaits the winner of Lewis Walker or Mark Bell coming through from semi-final 2.
So, having worked his way back into it, can Aaron Davies find something in this frame to get the scores back on level terms? No is the answer. He's come up dry. Neither player really able to create much off their own break so far.
It's been a scrap this, hasn't it? Rather than a rhythm exhibition as we've seen so far from our first 2 quarterfinals. You know, Tom Cousins and Ian Alley went toe to toe, blow for blow, just both playing brilliant stuff. It was a great watch. One of Shane Thompson and Carl Sutton was able to do that. Carl was frozen out a little bit off the break. But yeah, this has been a bit of a slugfest.
It's been a compelling match to watch, though,
yeah,
because of the way it's played out.
You're never quite sure who's going to win it, which ultimately, I suppose, is a neutral is all you can ask for. But yeah, neither player's been able to pick up any rhythm. And Craig is ordinarily a rhythm player, but this would be in that sense, a huge result for him. Oh, he's played that well. Should just have a smidge of angle. Yeah, that'll do. Just needs a hair of judgment. Just needs to judge the cannon, unless he can avoid the red, which would be a real bonus, and he can. Yeah, that'll do. That will do.
This is what a pure striker of the ball he is. The last 2 shots, he managed to force an angle on the shot before that. That time he managed to hold and not play a cannon that looked almost inevitable.
We go within 2 here, Craig Waddingham. 6 minutes are going to be left. Aaron Davies is in a little bit of danger here. not just being 2 frames behind in a race to 8, but just with that clock as well, he really can't afford to continue to be behind. The next 2 frames almost have to go his way for him to win this match at this stage. Not quite last chance saloon, but he's edging towards it.
Yeah, for Craig Waddingham, if he does get over the line in this match, he's going to be relieved and very pleased with the way it's turned out, because it's not been an easy match. It's not been one of those ones where he's just been breaking off and clearing frame after frame like he does so often. Had to do it the hard way, had to fight, and he's had to rely on some chances from his opponent, which wasn't a guarantee that he was going to get. But he is ahead. It's the quarterfinals. He's only 2 frames or 2 matches away from reaching yet another Pro Series final after the 2 titles that he lifted at the back end of last season. So 6 minutes 13 remaining on the match clock. Craig Waddingham breaks off in frame 11. Well, he's been dry on a couple of occasions already this match. That time he's got the balls moving all over the table. Only 1 ball remaining in the bottom half, but unfortunately for him, he's found the pocket with the cue ball. And whilst it is somewhat last chance saloon for Aaron, he's at least the man at the table. Still time remaining on the match clock. 5 minutes would be plenty to play at least 2 frames. Haven't yet seen any 6-road shootouts this weekend, but that would be the way of breaking a deadlock if the players were tied on an even score when the match clock gets down to 0. Right now though, Aaron's got to focus on what's in front of him, which is getting his way back into this match. Controlled the cue ball well here. Wasn't so much to do on the potting side, but the fact that so many balls had ended up at the top of the table meant that there wasn't a whole load of room to play with. This match has been entertaining for the fact that you've never really known who's going to be the likely winner. Craig Waddingham has obviously got a couple ahead and times has looked the more likely winner, but then Aaron's had chances to go ahead. And to his credit, he hasn't let his level drop despite a couple of misadventures, shall we say, in those earlier frames. And that in off the break was costly for Craig Waddingham. Aaron Davies steps up to the table, gets the clearance, and is now only a single frame behind. Let's have a much clearer mind as he sits in his chair now. Still something to think about, but the 2 earlier mistakes surely eliminated now. He's just focused on finding the chance to get back into it. It's going to be Aaron's break in the next frame, so he will have first opportunity. Big break this. Really needs a ball off this break. 4 minutes 06 on the match clock. Wow, couldn't have struck that much better. For a moment it looked like the cue ball was getting cannoned towards the top corner, but it stays on the table. Hit that really pure. Cue ball coming up and down the centre of the table just before it took that nudge. So, what can Aaron make of this? Can he get things back on level terms?
Well, that match clock is just looming large, isn't it? Aaron has had more heartache than most when it comes to a certain manner of tough defeat. And he's had more agonising moments on a six-road shootout than probably anybody else on the tour. But right now, just give him level. Oh, it's a big shot to pull out. It's a great shot. And he's got the angle to bump the other one out on the next ball. That's a brilliant shot from Aaron Davies.
Played under such time pressure as well. Had to get down, hit it on the 1 second mark pretty much.
Oh, how good is this? He's still having to dig, but he is getting close.
I tell you what, these last couple of frames have been excellent. To rely on that in-off from Craig off the break in the previous frame, but had to pot the ball still. This time, this has been brilliant.
He's still wrestling with it.
Three balls away from getting back onto level terms.
Have to judge that one well, and has. Oh, what a clutch out this is from Aaron Davies. This stage in a quarter-final, to pull this out the fire is magic, really. Oh, that red play's big. There's no way. Oh, there's no way. That is brutal. That is brutal.
That was going to go down as one of the all-time great clearances. He's played some phenomenal shots already, but just to slip out of position. It looked like he'd done the hard work. He was just trying to avoid the cannon on the ball on the bottom cushion. Needed to play with a trace of side. I think he ended up playing it plain ball and just needed to swing into the side cushion to get out ahead of that ball.
That felt missable. I'm amazed Craig took that on with cue ball in hand, you know. Amazed. Because he had a free shot to develop it.
Well, and with the match clock, he only has to pot some of the loose balls. He doesn't even have to clear up, does he?
That's a huge mental error from Craig. And Aaron jaws it. He got one more chance. Goodness me, that's a let-off for Craig Waddingham. That's a... You're absolutely right. Didn't even need to worry about those two balls. Just pot the other ones and he's home and hosed. Oh, what a dramatic finish. And he's left Aaron a shot. 20 seconds. This is his final opportunity. Can he force a six-red shootout? Twice across for the Cyborg. 1, 2. It's close. It's close. What a shot. Aaron Davies is going to take us all the way to a six-red shootout. And Craig Waddingham has let this one slip.
That is one of the most incredible shots you'll see in the situation he was in. He's had shot after shot to complete that comeback, and somehow he does it like that off two cushions.
Well, he nearly took out an unbelievable finish. He nearly took out an unbelievable finish to do it his own way, snooking himself on the 8-ball. And Craig Waddingham, you have to say, has absolutely blown that, because Aaron should never have had another shot in that frame. Craig didn't need to win that frame. He just needed to see the timeout. And he let Aaron back in once. And you almost thought, well, he might have learned his lesson. Let him back in twice. And, well, that is astonishing.
Somewhat academic break this. 7 seconds remaining on the match clock. So the rules say that the break-off has to continue, but obviously no time for the clearance. So, chime for the end of the match. We will be going to the first six-red shootout of the weekend. Craig Waddingham had every chance to win that by either clearing up or running the clock down, but Aaron Davies sneaks in at the death with a miracle shot and levels the score at 6 frames apiece.
Oh, well, we talked about Aaron's mentality quite a bit in this match. but I right now want to speak about Craig Waddingham, because mentally he is one of the best, I think, anywhere on the tour at just having that goldfish brain that you almost need. Mistakes happen and it's like it hasn't. But this is like the ultimate test of that, because it's easy to maybe miss a ball and think, well, that was my chance, didn't take it, we go again. But that is such a massive error to make.
It's such an unusual way to lose a match, because he didn't make a potting error, he didn't miss a ball. It was a miracle shot ultimately, but the one before the mistake was a weird one. It was just a lapse of judgment under the time pressure, wasn't it? Just to play the wrong shot.
Well, Aaron won the lag there, and I think he's put Craig into bat. I think that's what we've just seen.
He is normally good in this kind of situation, Craig Waddingham. Wow, what a moment for both of these players. We haven't yet seen any six-red shootouts. All the matches on this table have gone to a result, some influenced by the match clock, but none have finished as a draw.
Well, Craig was very nearly in a six-red shootout in his first round match. Jimmy Croxton got unlucky not to be able to play the shot, didn't he, with the cue ball spinning, wasn't able to make the 8 ball. But, we mentioned Aaron's sort of love-hate relationship, largely hate relationship with the six-red shootout. But, I don't think he'll have ever gone into a six-red shootout feeling as if he's, I mentioned earlier, playing with house money. He should be out of the tournament. There's no way Aaron Davies should still be sat there. And that has to change the mindset going into a six-red. Has to.
What a story it would be if he came through from the position. He'd thrown away chance after chance, somehow finds his way back into the match, and then bizarre ending to end up in this six-red shootout in the first place. I quite like this plan of putting Craig in first. It sort of feels like that's been the pattern of the match. Aaron's been the one that's playing catch-up and has just stolen it at the death.
Yeah, he's playing the narrative here, Aaron Davies, and I respect him for it. So Craig Waddingham.
So Craig Waddingham to break off in a crucial six-red shootout. It's not a bad break.
It's a good break. Go pretty quick. From here he needs to stop the cue ball.
Just a bit too much trouble with that first ball. Should be able to keep short position now though.
Oh, he's
this
good
could be
here.
quick. This could be very quick.
That's brilliant from Craig Waddingham. That's brilliant from Craig Waddingham. He's an iceman. He is absolutely ice cold out there. After the way that match ended, I could name you a lot of players whose head would have fallen clean off their shoulders. But he has just gone again, out of the mind, and has pulled out an unbelievably good six-red shootout.
To have the composure to do that, and even after the first shot of that clearance, the cue ball tracking up the table, had to wait for it to stop. Looked like for a time he could be well above 20 seconds.
21:52 is the confirmed time. Just been told 21:52. Wasn't quite as quick as our scoreboard indicated. It was a little bit slow to start, but 21:52 I can tell you is the confirmed time to beat for Aaron Davies. It's not unassailable, but going first, I think you're happy to set that, aren't you?
It's a kind of time you know it has to go perfect. You can't miss a ball, you can't have the cue ball flying around the table. You've got to get a good break and get straight down to your work. But what a narrative this would be. The fact that he's even in this six-red shootout is little short of remarkable. If he could manage to win from here, what a story this would be.
There we go. Aaron Davies, 21:52 to beat. Oh, that could not have come out much nicer. He's going to make a ball off it as well.
Looks so laid back, but this could be a big time.
This could be world record pace, if he needed it to be. This is awesome from Aaron Davies. How on earth has Aaron Davies done that? The Cyborg is into an Ultimate Pool semi-final, and I simply could not tell you how.
That is one of the most remarkable matches of the weekend, and one of the most remarkable matches we've ever seen on the Ultimate Pool Pro Series. Aaron Davies had chance after chance in normal play in that match. Played so well for the most part, but let slip the chances in a way that you felt like he was never going to get back into it. And then what about that 12th frame?